Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Adam Green here with nomorenews.org. It's August 12th, 2019, and Mr. Alex Jones of Infowars.com has been caught lying about Jeffrey Epstein and the network behind him. And it's shameful. He's running cover for the people behind the Epstein network. And it's sad because a lot of people on Twitter and Infowars are trying to take a victory lap right now. And people are tweeting stuff like this. When you're suddenly the most credible person in the media and stuff like this, Epstein dies and everybody is Alex Jones. Alex Jones is trying to say that he's vindicated, that he covered this, although other people were covering it. It's true he did, but now when the story is broken and it's blown up everywhere, he's running cover for the people behind it, running cover for the people behind Epstein. And I'm going to show it to you in this video right now. Here we go. This is what he posted when he was about to get on an airplane when this Epstein story first broke that he was dead.
It's being reported right now by ABC News that Jeffrey Epstein died. They already tried to kill him once 2 weeks ago. He's been found dead in his jail cell in Manhattan. Now, we just got the documents. Ron Dawson was on yesterday, the lawyer that sued, got all the documents proving it.
The lawyer that sued, not Epstein, they sued Epstein's victim, along with Mike Cernovich. A little bit more on that later.
Connected to CNN, the Clintons, clearing Trump.
Saying the documents clear Trump. Trump is not cleared. They are going to try to push that he's cleared and that he's the hero and that it's all the Clintons and Ehud Barak and selected people that they want to take down with this.
He said just down there, he's dead. Well, he's dead right now. Jeffrey Epstein is being reported is dead. I guess the second attempt was successful. This was a giant blackmail scheme to frame all these people. So the deep state and the Clintons and the Chi-Coms have been controlling us, folks, and Trump is on the move.
Okay, did you hear that? He gets it right. It's a pedophile ring to blackmail people. But who was behind this ring? One more time, Alex.
This was a giant blackmail scheme to frame all these people. So the deep state and the Clintons and the Chi-Coms have...
The deep state, the Clintons, and the Chi-Coms. He's saying the Chinese are behind Epstein's blackmail ring. They're responsible for him getting killed in prison. One more time. The Chi-Coms, and this isn't out of the ordinary for Alex Jones. Every day, I don't listen anymore, but every time I rarely tune in, this is what he's saying. The Chi-Coms run everything. Chi-Coms run Hollywood. The Muslims run the Federal Reserve. So much disinfo because he's the biggest Zionist gatekeeper out there. Controlled opposition, lying fraud.
Blackmail scheme to frame all these people. So the deep state and the Clintons and the Chi-Coms have been controlling us, folks, and Trump is on the move. This is absolutely massive, but Epstein had to be taken out, and we knew he was dead, going to be killed, guaranteed. And now they're getting rid of that key witness. It doesn't matter. We've got all the list. We've got the flight manifestos. They're rolling everybody up right now. They won't be able to kill everybody, and they're not going to be able to kill us.
What a despicable, disgusting lie, saying it's the Chi-Coms behind Epstein. Do you think your audience is stupid? Do you have no shame at all? Look at this. He wants to say, and this is just as stupid, if not more stupid, than what Zionist shills like Marco Rubio are saying, that it's Putin bots and trolls that are pushing the Trump and Clinton conspiracies about Epstein's death. I also saw fake skeptic Michael Shermer says, there's no conspiracy here. The mainstream media is trying to already quell the conspiracies, dismiss it as a conspiracy, this unbelievable story. Like Joe Scarborough saying that a guy who had information that would have destroyed rich and powerful men's lives ends up dead in his jail cell. How predictably Russian. Trying to accuse it on the Russians, and at least Ann Coulter gets this part right. She says, yes, that makes sense. Everyone around Epstein was a huge Russia supporter. Dershowitz, Wexner, Maxwell, Barry Krischer, and Epstein himself. Just look at their philanthropies. It screams Russia, and she's being sarcastic because this has been well documented for a long time. John Swin from formerly of The World Needs This Man, and now at Expose the Enemy, has done some great graphs breaking this down. Here's one of them. This is Cohn, Epstein, Maxwell, honeypot connections around Trump. So we got Epstein here. Let's see how many Lees and Chins and Chicoms we see in this, Alex, since this is a Hillary Chicom to be blamed. This is how they're controlling everybody. We got Epstein, Les Wexner, Robert Maxwell, Roy Cohn, who else do we have here? Cernovich, and how him and Charles Johnson from Got News are running cover for Dershowitz, who is close friends, and Dershowitz was a character witness for Roy Cohn. Roger Stone and Trump were proteges of Roy Cohn, who I've gotten into in past videos. I'll put the link in the description and more later. The Rothschilds, Ghislaine Maxwell. There's no Chinese here. This is a Kosher Nostra Mossad blackmail ring is what it is. And Jones is lying, saying it's the Chicoms and the Clintons. Just absolutely disgusting. Does he think his audience is this stupid? Is what I want to know. Another, the cat's out of the bag. I don't know how Jones thinks he can get away with lying about this stuff. This is another map, a little bit bigger, from the Jeff Epstein crime map. It's from Crime Map by Ryan Dawson at the ANC Report. Again, there's no Chinese connections here. This is all Zionist, ultra-Zionist. Epstein, Maxwell, Black Cube, Bear Stearns, Greenberg, Kushner's, Nexium, the Bronfmans, Mega Group, Michael Steinhardt, Mossad, Promise, Richard Pearl. Look at all these names here. Jones has the chutzpah to lie to his audience and say this is the Chicoms. This Epstein ring, and Epstein's dead because the Chicoms. Absolutely just disgusting and despicable. We can't let this guy get away with these disgusting lies. Here's Morphonios. He's been tweeting threads all about this. All of these people are connected to the Jewish philanthropy group, Mega Group. And all they do is donate to Jewish causes. They're all involved with Birthright and the Adelsons. They're all big Trump supporters. The Rothschilds they're all on the board of all these people connected to Epstein and all in the same circles going back to Roy Cohn. They're all involved with Genie Energy as well, the Israeli drilling company in the Golan Heights with the Rothschilds. Rupert Murdoch, who's friends with Epstein and Roy Cohn. Steinhardt, Summers, Bill Richardson, Dick Cheney, Rothschilds. All of them. And all of this has been documented extensively in some new articles written by Whitney Webb. She did a 3-part series extensively documenting beyond any doubt that this is a Chabad, Jewish mafia, Kosher Nostra, and there's nothing anti-Semitic. If this was Italians, I would say this is the Italian mob. If this was a bunch of Swedes overrepresented running pedophile rings, I'd say it's the Swedes or the Nordics. It doesn't matter who it is. It matters what they're doing. And I'm going to talk about it because they're the ones doing it. Here's some more lies from Jones, blaming China and misdirecting with his disinfo.
We've got these guys on the run. We've got them on their heels. They're going to pull a lot of crap. They're going to stage a lot of events. They've got Hollywood cranked up on high, pushing race war and division between the sexes and demoralization. The Chicoms are funding the whole thing. They've bought up 90% of the major agencies.
The Chicoms are funding the whole thing. The Chicoms run Hollywood. Now, I've done a few videos. I have a playlist, Infowars Exposed, and I have a video. It's Alex Jones caught lying about who runs Hollywood. I'll put that link in the description to save time for now, but it's completely debunked. Such a joke. Look at this. This was back in 2016. Alex Jones had a video, China buys 6 Hollywood studios. Alex Jones exposes the China's takeover of Hollywood in America. That's January 30th, 2017. Look at this. A few months later, why China Hollywood deals have come to a screeching halt. And yeah, they do some investments, but they don't control Hollywood. And to say that this is the Chicoms or the Chicoms are running the United States is so intellectually dishonest. And it's straight Zionist propaganda to keep the attention off of the Zionist lobbies controlling our country. And then we have another one here. Oops. This is China's Hollywood romance sours amid trade war. That's 2018. And then it says, Wanda opens biggest movie studio in China's answer to Hollywood. China is starting their own Hollywood. Where are we? Where's my Hollywood stuff? Here it is. China is building its own Hollywood. They're trying to lure our American Hollywood stars over to China make stuff. And then look, the China chill in Hollywood. So you can just go ahead and stop lying about the Chinese running Hollywood, Jones. As if I even have to disprove this. It's just absurd, asinine.
But the people see through all of this, and we're in the process of retaking our country and actually governing ourselves again and getting out of this world government project.
That's a lie, because Trump is handing over the country to the Zionist New World Order.
Now again, I'm not here taking credit. It's just on the record that we were the first and the strongest exposing this international child kidnapping blackmail ring. And that's why we've been demonized.
The fake tip of the spear, really the controlled opposition, pretending like he's exposing it all, but actually he's covering up the truth about who's behind Epstein, saying that it's the Clintons and the Chi-Coms.
So remember, the corporate media and big tech have all worked to suppress Jeffrey Epstein, to suppress the knowledge of this, and to protect the people that have been involved in this operation.
You are protecting the people in this operation, Alex Jones.
Frame all these people, so the deep state and the Clintons and the Chi-Coms have been controlling us, folks, and Trump is on the move.
Oh, Trump's on the move. You go to Whitney Webb's article or any of these graphs, and it just Trump's mentor Roy Cohn and the mob with Meyer Lansky and Wexner and Bronfman and Maxwell and all these Mossad agents and the mega groups and World Jewish Congress and Birthright and you guys are gonna, these idiots shills out here are gonna say it's Russia, it's China behind it. Just such an incredible joke. Now
we've seen Democrats, people like Al Green.
Okay, now
we've seen the Catholic Church taken over by this. We've seen all these other big institutions, the Boy Scouts now being taken over. This is a cult of power that uses this evil of corrupting people and compromising them to control. It's a gang initiation.
And he says, does Jones know about the gang initiation? Because this was him 10 years ago when he called into the Michael Collins Piper show, the Piper Report. And Piper exposes Israeli Zionist shills. His book, Judas Goats, called out all these fake nationalists like Jones is. So Jones is like trying to be like, oh yeah, I cover this stuff too. I know about the Zionist. I know about the blackmail. 10 years ago, Jones would talk about Israeli Zionist blackmail. And then now he's running cover for them. Really makes you wonder, is he blackmailed? And I certainly think he is.
We know Israel's the king of blackmail. We know they blackmail Congress and the president all the time. And right now I see their...
Hear that? They blackmail Congress and the president all the time. Trump is blackmailed by these people too, or at least he's just controlled and in cahoots with the people that are doing the blackmail.
We know Israel's the king of blackmail. We know they blackmail Congress and the president all the time. And right now I see their fingerprints all over this with the media and the FBI and all these people take bribes and be corrupt like the mafia, or they don't let them into higher levels.
Notice he says the FBI is corrupt and they're not allowed in higher levels. But look, Trump's the president. Oh, but he's independent. No, he's completely controlled by Zionists. A Zionist puppet through and through. And oh, the FBI, Barr is going to investigate Epstein. Yeah, Barr, the FBI, they're corrupt too. You Alex Jones, trust FBI investigations into this? Sure.
And I just really see Israel becoming preeminent now. I think they've been in a battle with some of the old British money, which I know is the majority owner of this country.
Old British money. The British money is Rothschild money that's intermarried with all the elite over there, the elite banking families.
For dominance, but I do think they're tighter knit, more hardcore, more focused. And on my own broadcast today, I clearly stepped out and said, I think this is all Israel right now. And from the evidence, I'm sure they're using this as blackmail, as leverage against the Congress to totally submit. You can see it in the arrogance, the swagger. It's like a chihuahua telling a Great Dane what to do. But in the real world, that happens. Yeah. Is that what Israel's doing? We know that the kings of blackmail is that they're actually using their inside knowledge of Abramoff and a lot of other issues, just like Monica Lewinsky and Clinton. We know they were blackmailing them then.
So the Israelis, the Zionists, were blackmailing the Clintons with Lewinsky, but now he thinks the Clintons are running Epstein's blackmail ring with the Chi-Coms? Do you see the before and after? Now Jones would say, if somebody talked like this, he'd say that they're anti-Semitic. And he would shut you down, and he never says stuff like that. Remember, this was like 10 years ago. His tune has changed so much since then.
And that all of this is a big blackmail against the Congress to get on board with another staged terror attack, but more importantly, with the attack on Iran. Now they're in so much trouble, they've got to escalate it to the next level. I think we've been, in the last few months and going into the next few months, in the greatest, most dangerous period in U.S. history, period. Right now is so important, and Israel is really trying to flex their muscles right now. They've always been very powerful, always very manipulative, but they're really trying to go for it all right now, and I think that's what's going to bring them down.
So that was 10 years ago, and now I want to show these not because I'm attacking him, but this is Alex Jones's son. He's on Twitter now. He's got a YouTube. He's doing news. He's making some strong statements on Twitter, and this isn't an attack on him. He's a young guy. I don't blame him. He was raised by Alex Jones. This is just an example, an illustration of what the Infowars type of Alex Jones brainwashing and indoctrination creates. So this is the Zionist propaganda narrative that his son is putting out. He says, in my experience, dudes who are obsessed with the evil Jays and the grand Jayish conspiracy just have really small wangs and are trying to compensate. Now, I don't know if this kind of logic argument works in high school, but this is not an argument, Rex. And you basically just opened yourself up to get ratioed. Everybody's like, oh, looks like you're an expert in small wangs, but... And then this thing, he says, not saying there aren't evil people who happen to be Jayish, but to suggest a grand conspiracy is insane. So it's the Chi-Coms. You can say the Chi-Coms are a big conspiracy, or Islam is a giant caliphate that's going to take over the world and subverting everywhere. That's okay. But you're anti-Semitic if you say that there's ever any Jewish people that get together and conspire to do anything. Oh, no, they never conspire together. That's just insane, he says. And then he says, no, you are an actual anti-Semite. You think there is a grand Jewish conspiracy. You are insane. And he retweeted that one because it was so good, I guess. And then he said, question Israel all you want. I sure as hell don't think we should be sending them money, but that doesn't justify some BS grand Jayish conspiracy garbage. Here we go, more anti-Semitic BS. Feel free to unfollow me. Radical Islam is the #1 threat to Western civilization long term, not the Jays in Israel, the only sane people in the region. Oh, God, you've got much to learn, Rex. And I don't blame you. If I was raised by Alex Jones, I would probably be saying the same things. You're young. I hope you're open-minded. I hope that you just go to my YouTube channel. And again, I'm not attacking you. Go to my YouTube channel. Go to the playlist. And just with an open mind, go to Zionism Exposed, Jewish Temple Prophecy playlist, Israel Tech Takeover playlist, and even Infowars Exposed. I know it'll be hard, but you'll see it's all documented there. It's really no debating it. And then he says, I don't think we should be giving them money like we do now, but that's a minor problem. Well, if you go and watch the lobby documentary, you'll know that there's a huge problem. The spying. And then he says, again, that there's no conspiracy. There's no conspiracy, or that Islam is the biggest threat in the world. Yeah, that's who's controlling the media and getting us into wars. And you know that powerful, notorious Arab Muslim lobby in the United States, right? All the lobbies in control. And it's, of course, it's... what country is it illegal to boycott? Illegal to boycott Israel. Illegal to criticize Israel. But all of our Zionist political officials are happy to put sanctions on every other Muslim country and go bomb every other Muslim country. But yeah, it's the Muslims that are a problem because you've been raised by Alex Jones and you haven't looked into the other side. And look at this. This is just, and I'm not defending Islam. They've got their problems too, but this is just, shut down anybody that talks about Zionism, but then say stuff like this. Oh, peace be upon him. Muhammad was a violent, warmongering warlord, pedophile who married and raped a 9-year-old. Okay, we've heard it before. Go look into all the scandals that in the Talmud and the Zohar, and check out what's going on with Zionism before you dismiss it. And then he says, I'm not an anti-Semite. My mother's family is Jewish. So I guess you got skin in the game. And then he says, Ben Shapiro wants you to go die in a war, and F that. And then he says, the tiny hats have been investigated. This is a high school kid telling us, oh, don't worry, it's been investigated, nothing to see there. They're just really successful, got a lot of money, and a higher average IQ, but not all evil. Yeah, look into the nepotism and the overrepresentation and disproportionate control that cannot be explained just by IQ alone. Now, that's enough on Rex. And again, Rex, I just hope you watch the videos, and I'm not attacking you. I'm just showing some of your tweets. You're really a chip off the old block from your father, and apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You should check out Steve Pieczenik, because he's getting it right a lot more than Infowars is right now, but he's still spinning with disinfo, still spinning some big time disinfo. Pieczenik is like, what is it? Wrote with Clancy, longtime guest of Infowars, and listen to what he has to say about the Epstein situation.
Hi, this is Dr. Pieczenik. I want to talk about the Epstein pedophilia ring. What it really is a Mossad Israeli operative ring, which goes back decades and decades, all the way to the time even where the Liberty ship was attacked by Israeli planes, unmarked Israeli planes, during the Six-Day War, and Israel said they didn't do it. Well, that was a lie. Israel has not been our greatest ally. It's been our greatest enemy. They were also...
Great quote there. I love that. Even though he puts out the disinfo at the end, I still love hearing that. And if I think I have it up here, this is the video that I'm playing you. Opus 167 Mossad Epstein Connections, July 13th. So this was a month ago, almost a month ago. And I got the top comment here. Quote, Israel, not our greatest ally, they're our greatest enemy. Totally agree, Steve. One of the top comments there.
Also involved in 9/11 and the Standout War, for which his deputy confirmed that to me. Israeli Mossad operatives who I interrogated and threatened confirmed that to me, and I put away 2 Mossad operatives.
Interesting. I never heard that he put away 2 Mossad operatives, but I just want to stop and say this is a longtime guest of Alex Jones. And even though he's going to spin the lie at the end, at least he's admitting that it's Mossad and not the Chi-Coms. And I've actually seen Pieczenik before get angry with Jones while they're interviewing on Infowars, saying something like, oh, I know you want to blame everything on China. And then also I saw him get mad with Owen Schroyer that Infowars isn't doing more to expose the Zionists behind 9/11. Another longtime friend and guest of Infowars, David Icke, just came out with this new book, The Trigger, The Lie That Changed the World, Who Really Did It and Why. And it's all about the ultra-Zionist and their control. And he even calls out Alex Jones by name, calls him out for his Zionist shilling in this new book that he just announced. It's not even available yet, but hoping to have him on soon to do an interview and talk about what he thinks happened to Alex Jones. And not just David Icke. I've talked to so many former employees, former guests, former friends, the former wife. I've talked to even current employees that totally agree with what I'm saying. They see the same Zionist shilling, the same disinfo, the same gatekeeping, limited hangout as I see. I mean, at this point, a lot of people are just going, is Jones just saying Chi-Coms just as code? Which he's not, though. He's lying and really wants people to believe it. But here's more from Pieczenik.
The key to this Epstein problem of pedophilia is the fact that it goes back decades. Jeff Epstein was picked out by the Mossad.
Goes back decades to Roy Cohn and Bronfman's and Nexium and Meyer Lansky and the Jewish mob and bootleggers and all this stuff. It's organized crime.
Mossad as the proper agent.
And Mossad.
Jeff Epstein was picked out by the Mossad as the proper agent of influence because, number one, he was grandiose. Two, he had some intelligence, but came from a poor Jewish background, had no real education, did not speak a foreign language, and was so narcissistic that they could manipulate him up and down and create a false front for him, which involved the fact that he had multi-million dollars or multi-billion dollars. He may have no money. It's not even relevant. But to make sure that Jeffrey Epstein was working properly, they had an operative from the Mossad who was named Maxwell, the daughter of Robert Maxwell, one of the greatest crooks in the world, who was an Israeli Mossad operative.
He also worked with the KGB, I believe, but he was a huge Zionist. He was buried in Jerusalem. He helped arm them in 1948 in the ethnic cleansing of the indigenous Palestinians. He also said that he was a Zionist patriot, Zionist first, second, and last. That's Maxwell.
He died in 1991. He was either killed or he died. He was one of the biggest contributors to Israeli national security of anybody else. So his daughter was the control operative of Jeff Epstein.
The Chi-Coms, according to Alex Jones.
At the same time, we had Nexium in New York City, which was run by a non-Jew named Renier, but controlled by two Jewish women, the Bronfman family. And
the Bronfman family, their dad was Edgar Bronfman. He was the head of the World Jewish Congress. He's with Wexner and Rothschilds and all these groups funding Birthright and involved with Mega Group. And it's from the Seagram's alcohol bootlegging family.
And they, in turn, were propagating pedophilia.
Oh yeah, and they're involved with Nexium. Roger Stone worked for there. Roger Stone has a Manhattan apartment with a madam. He was involved with the New York or New Jersey Israeli escort rings that Wayne Madsen wrote about. He also got busted for putting swinger ads of his wife for a swinger magazine. He was mentors with Roy Cohn, who he even said, Roger Stone said, Roy Coney's not gay, he just likes to sleep with men, and that they were close friends. He liked young blonde boys, and look at Roger Stone.
Bronfman family, and they in turn were propagating pedophilia. The Mossad incurred so many operatives that were involved with pedophilia under the Epstein ring and under the Nexium ring with the two Bronfman daughters, that you're talking about thousands of people. Now, it also goes all the way up into the presidency. It goes into the Bush family, Bush Jr., Jeb. It goes into Clinton's, as we know, Hillary, Bill Clinton, who's a pathological liar to the nth degree, to Obama, who had a history of homosexuality and pedophilia, all the way down to the Bushes and beyond that. So what the Israelis did under the tutelage,
remember, he says the Bushes are involved with this. That'll come up later.
Of two brilliant Mossad chiefs, Halevi and Yatom, both of whom used pedophilia as a honey trap to encapsulate any one of our operatives in America. Jeff Epstein was a willing operative. He willingly was involved in pedophilia. The Israelis knew that. They created his storyline. They made believe he was a billionaire. Wexner was the theoretical backup man to him. And ironically, he was in Bear Stearns, which was another corrupt Jewish firm that went under, along with Drexel Burnham, another corrupt Jewish firm. So we have a lot of corruption here, which goes all the way back to 9/11, when we had Jews like Silverstein, who had the lease to the World Trade Center. We had Lowry. We had Lauder.
Lauder is also involved with the World Jewish Congress and a Trump supporter. All these guys are in Trump circles, but he tries to make it seem like Trump is good. And he drops so much truth to reel you in, 95% truth, but then spins it at the end with the lie, with the poison pill, the little bit of disinfo to put you off in the wrong direction.
And we had Eisenberg, all of whom were involved in the stand down and the false flag of 9/11. So from 9/11 on, Trump understood that the Israelis had been involved in our intelligence service and in compromising America. He never forgot that. And what he did blatantly was to turn around, and on a certain day, he decided he was going to indict every one of the Mossad operatives, as well as the Israelis, on charges of pedophilia. not in charge of the spying, because that wouldn't work. But Acosta, the Secretary of Labor, was correct when he said that Epstein got off of the prosecutor's indictment in Florida because he worked in the intelligence service. Now, it's not only the Mossad that's involved. Clearly, the CIA was involved. And it was the old CIA and not the present CIA. Why do I say that? Because the heroes of this picture is not only Trump.
Here we go. The hero is Trump. Trump knows about who did 9/11. And if this is 4D chess, the white hats, Trump is secretly a good guy that's just surrounded by himself with Zionists. And this is QAnon, basically.
And the White House. But it really involves what I consider to be my deep state, which is what I've talked about for 20 years. The people at the NSA, the NRO, the NGA, the CIA, the new CIA, and other intelligence organizations, which blew this operation apart over
blew this up
past 10 to 20 years, because in their NSA sweep of our telephones, or the metadata as they called it, they had picked up Israeli compromises all over the United States and in the world. What we have now is a real problem with Israel. And Israel had been placed on notice because...
So he gets it right. We've got a problem.
And Israel...
We've got a problem with Israel, but... And then the lie. The poison pill lie. Here it is. The disinfo.
What we have now is a real problem with Israel. And Israel had been placed on notice because our ambassador, the Jewish ambassador there, as well as Kushner, have made a very clear statement. Israel, you're on notice. If you do not make a peace treaty with the Palestinians, there will be more serious repercussions than you imagine.
All right, Cheney. You're either you think you're smart and you're trying psyops on people with this lie, or you're losing your mind and you're going senile. Nobody is going to believe this. You really think that Ambassador Friedman and Jared Kushner, who fund illegal West Bank settlements on occupied Palestine, that are the most hardcore Zionist imaginable, you think that they put Israel on notice that they better do a peace deal with the Palestinians? You really expect people to believe that nonsense? It's like the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. One more time, this is embarrassing.
And Israel had been placed on notice because our ambassador, the Jewish ambassador there, as well as Kushner, have made a very clear statement. Israel, you're on notice. If you do not make a peace treaty with the Palestinians, there will be more serious repercussions than you imagine. The beginning of the takedown of your Mossad operatives, who were all present, and we will put them in prison, is just the beginning of what we can do to the future of Israel. Now, as a Jew, I am not proud what American Jews have done. For the most part, I find them to be arrogant, ignorant, totally devoid of any world culture, totally devoid of understanding what happened to us in the Holocaust, totally devoid of understanding what Israel is really about. And it isn't the sanctimonious state that people think it is, because I was there in the 1980s when they created Hamas. I was there when the generals were terrorizing Palestinians and the Intifada was created. But let me quote to you my rabbi, and it turns out to be a family member, Soloveitchik, who said, in order to be a good Jew or a good human, you have to follow the righteous way and avoid evil. Thank you and good night.
And it's so cute how his wife comes up and turns on the camera on and off for him. I think he's losing his vision and he can't see, is my guess. But this 4D chess, QAnon, Trump is exposing Mossad. Kushner is putting Israel on notice. This is just unacceptable disinfo. Jordan Sather, I don't know much about this guy. I think he's possibly a Q guy. He's got a pretty big following. But he says, Trump is not a Zionist. Yeah, okay. In fact, he's helping to expose Mossad-infiltrated alternative media, i.e. Alex Jones. This is the nonsense that people are putting out, that Trump is not a Zionist, and Trump is exposing Mossad-infiltrated Alex Jones. Yeah. People actually believe that crap? And then, here's another aspect of this. Before I get to that, this idea that Mossad has infiltrated Alex Jones. Well, I agree with that, but Trump's not exposing it. And let's see here. This brings me to Stranahan. Lee Stranahan, formerly journalist at Huffington Post, and then he left there with Breitbart and was a writer at Breitbart, and now he's at Sputnik. He has a radio show on Sputnik. Ever since this Epstein story broke when he was arrested, he has been after Cernovich, exposing that Cernovich actually didn't sue Epstein. He sued Epstein's victim. And now he's having falling out and feuds and beefs with all of these Zionist agents, PSYOPS and Cernovich and others. And he says, you're aware that Steve Bannon met with Epstein in 2016 and 2018, correct? And that Steve Bannon was in a company with director Bryan Singer, I think he's a pedophile, and Milo. This is a kind of access of pedo elites right there. And then he also says, you are seeking intervener status, and according to the court's prelim explanation, the published documents that were sealed to protect the defendant from Epstein and his high-powered attorneys. That's what, and then here's Stranahan. This is what Epstein victim Virginia Roberts said about Cernovich's motion to intervene. Does this sound like Mike sued Epstein, as Jack Posobiec said? So I have some close-ups on these. This is just like Jones and Infowars is trying to pretend like they're exposing the Epstein ring. They're actually covering it up. I think they're covering it up from the evidence that I see. So this is Virginia Roberts' lawyer. They say that Dershowitz is colluding with Cernovich. Proposed intervener and purported journalist Michael Cernovich did the same exact request that Dershowitz did, the same motion to unseal this stuff. And they thought they were working together because it was the same thing and he did it first. And then they lie and they say they don't know each other, that they're not friends. But Dershowitz was in Cernovich's documentary. And then Cernovich even said, and this is all from the case. This is from the case. There they are, the photo together, Cernovich with Dershowitz. And Dershowitz is involved, highly close with Epstein. And it says, meeting Dershowitz was a personal joy of mine. It inspired Cernovich to go to law school. That's what he said on his own site. And then if you look into it, Cernovich actually has a very dark history when it comes to women and all types of stuff I don't even want to get into. Go to Cernovich Leaks for info on that. But now, so that's Stranahan. And why I went to segue to Stranahan from this is that Stranahan thinks that these shill networks have infiltrated Alex Jones with these lawyers and Cernovich and Posobiec, and he thinks that they're trying to bring him down. And I disagree. I think that Jones helped promote all these people and that Jones has been in these same networks for longer than they have. And Jones is obviously lying about who was behind Epstein. And I know Lee Stranahan knows it full and well because he had Whitney Webb on to go over the mega group and Mossad and Chabad connections. Roy Cohn, Meyer Lansky, Wexner, Mossad, Maxwell. So Lee knows about all this stuff. And then, but he's given Jones the benefit of the doubt, maybe because he wants Jones to have him on. He wants to just at least make Jones, ruin it himself, but make Jones burn the bridge. But I hope Lee sees this, that Jones is blaming China for Epstein. And then this is what else Jones is saying, another takeaway that I'm going to end with.
You've seen the Attorney General come out and launch a major investigation with the Inspector General.
So we're hearing, Barr, the Attorney General Barr is going to investigate. William Barr, appalled by Jeffrey Epstein death, says questions must be answered. It's so funny that Jones is blaming the Clintons and the Chi-Coms for Epstein dying when it's William Barr and Trump is in power and Trump's the one that supposedly got the credit for arresting them. Well, he just, Epstein either just escaped or was murdered or was allowed to commit suicide and escape accountability and justice on their watch. And if you think that the most high profile prisoner in like modern history, maybe like this is as much of a conspiracy as like Ruby killing Oswald. This is huge. On Trump's watch, this was allowed to happen. And if you think William Barr is going to investigate any of this, you are out of your mind. And remember, what Steve Pieczenik said. He said that, the FBI is corrupt, or that the FBI is going to investigate. Steve Pieczenik, not in this clip, but he also said the other day that Ron DeSantis of Florida, that he's like involved with the investigation. Oh, you mean the guy that went with Sheldon Adelson to Jerusalem to make anti-Semitism illegal? Yeah, I'm sure he's going to investigate Epstein. And why this Barr being in charge of the investigation for Epstein, we're going to get as much justice as we got for the 9/11 commission, or the Warren Commission for JFK, or any of the whitewash cover-ups in government history, because William Barr, where are we going here? Oh, and by the way, yeah, I'll go back to that. William Barr made a secret visit to the prison where Jeffrey Epstein was staying. If there's even a slim chance that Barr's father hired the unqualified Epstein, which that's what reports are saying, that Barr's father was at a school that hired the unqualified Epstein, but then I heard that he left before Epstein was actually started working. But either way, even if it's a slim chance, even if it's that close, he should not be involved with the case at all, not be in charge of the investigation. And here we are. It says, U.S. Attorney General William Barr personally made a hush-hush trip to the prison where Epstein was staying 2 weeks ago, about the time Epstein was found in his cell with the bruises around his neck. And that's from New York Post. Jeffrey Epstein could have paid for help with suicide. And then look, Barr reportedly won't recuse himself from Epstein case. This was back in July, because Barr used to work for the law firm where another lawyer represented Epstein and got the sweetheart deal with Acosta. He's involved with all these groups on several levels. He can't do the investigation. Not to mention, we saw Steve Pieczenik say that the Bushes are involved with this. Well, William Barr, Trump's attorney general, William Barr was also Bush Sr.'s attorney general from 1991 to 93. Talk about draining the swamp, huh? Getting rid of Mr. New World Order George Bush. This is an attorney general. He probably worked on the Rebbe's Noahide Law Education Bill, for all I know. William Barr. More on him. I might do a video on him soon. Actually, I saw Last American Vagabond covered it. William Barr is announcing like these pre-crime things. They want to go over the internet and try to use Israeli tech to spy on everybody. And then also it says AG William Barr's personal ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Barr, facing criticism, blames jail for Epstein's death. Yeah, he visited there right before. The most high-profile guy. Imagine how desperate they are to try to pull this off in front of everybody. They couldn't allow this mega group pedo ring, blackmail ring, get exposed any more than it already has. Apparently, they had to put this to rest, and now they're dismissing everybody as a conspiracy theory that wants to say it. And this is one I missed. The Arabs are the biggest threat. The Muslims, huh? That's why we have a massive delegation of Democrats arrive in Israel. And that's why when one Congresswoman, Ilhan Omar, just says that AIPAC has any power, they unanimously vote to condemn it for anti-Semitism. But yeah, I'm sure it's all, according to Jones and the Infowars and Zionist disinfo agents, it's the Muslims we got to watch out, and Israel is our greatest ally. I don't think so. Okay, we got one more thing to finish off here with. I think I covered it all. Bannon connected to George Nader, another guy that's messing around with young girls. If you haven't seen it, make sure the Infowars Exposed playlist, check it out, as well as Zionism Exposed, Jewish Temple Prophecy, Israel Tech Takeover, Infowars Exposed, and Owen Schroyer Saga, if you want to see my debates with Owen Schroyer. Let me make sure I just hit the rest of this stuff. I think I had one more thing I wanted to show. Where was that?
We've seen Democrats, people like Al Green. Now we've seen the Catholic Church taken over.
Okay, I got it all. That's all the clips. Thank you, everybody, for watching so much. I really appreciate it. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. Also, if you want to support independent media, content like this telling you the truth about what's really going on, unlike lying, gatekeeping frauds like Alex Jones, nomorenews.org contact page, donate page, email address in the subscribe bar. Thanks everybody for watching. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video.